Here we go, 24th, same exact objective, everything as yesterday, except for some of the synchronous and asynchronous work. So we're going to continue to interpret the Treaty of Versailles, the document that ended World War I. So again, we're using it as a primary source. So we're using primary and secondary sources to interpret various historical perspectives. Europe is our unit, statement of inquiry, ideology, impacts, interaction. So our synchronous work today is we're hopefully going to complete the Treaty of Versailles page on page 49 in your digital notebook. Asynchronous work then is to just make sure that that is completed. Yesterday, your asynchronous work was to finish the World War I crash course video, okay, which was page 47, but also like a digital video that you needed to watch and answer questions on there as well, okay? So that should have been finished before 10 p.m. last night, and then this deadline is 10 p.m. tonight, but we should get that done before class ends. So here's what the page looks like again, right? 48, 49. Got about halfway through. But everybody, let's go back and look at our digital notebook, please. Look at the digital notebook. All right. And I want to review kind of what we did here, right? So what we started yesterday was we looked at these different clauses or different things that were in this Treaty of Versailles that really ticked off Germany and the German people. And once again, if you lose a war, you don't write the treaty. You sign the treaty that the winners of the war drafted for you. So that's basically what's taking place here, okay? Is you have these countries, mostly the United States, Great Britain, and France, drafted the treaty, okay? Mostly Great Britain and France because they're neighbors with Germany, okay? The United States kind of went along with it. They didn't necessarily agree with everything in it, but nonetheless, this is the treaty that Germany was forced to sign. Okay, if you look at this first one, right? So what we did was we looked at these clauses and we made a decision like, does this impact Germany's pride, economy, or military? We looked at those three things and tried to identify which one was most impacted or most damaged as a result of these clauses. As an example, we looked at Germany had to accept total responsibility for starting the war. So we look at page 49, we put that in pride and we write one sentence that justifies your decision. So here I said, Germany's pride was damaged by clause 1 because they didn't start the war and this was treating them like a little child. For me, this like impacts their pride, and people just feel like their pride is wounded by the way they're being treated and forced to sign something that didn't actually occur. Yes, they were major players in the war, but they didn't start the war. Okay, all right. Any questions? Put them in the chat. You know, any questions? You can put them in the chat. Okay, as we go here. So then we looked at the second one, right? They had to pay 132 billion gold marks, which is the equivalent of about $270 billion to the people that won the war, okay? But they also Germany caused a lot of damage in these countries, specifically Great Britain and France. So we go back to page 49, and we kind of determined that Germany's economy was impacted there. Clause 2 damaged Germany's economy because they had to pay an exorbitant amount of money that had to be raised through taxes. That impacts the people. That's the people's money of Germany. Okay, and that money is going to all these other countries. That impacts their economy. Clause 3, and I'll just look at it here. Germany had to hand over 70,000 square kilometers of land to the Allies. Clause 3 impacts Germany's, this is what I said, It impacts all of them, but this is what I said here. Clause 3 impacts Germany's pride because they have to give up something to their neighbors of whom they are rivals. I mean, that wounds your pride when you're like, you don't just lose the war, then you have to give them something, like losing in a basketball game to someone. You don't just lose, but then let's say for some whatever reason you bet money on it, or Sour Patch Kids or something else, and you got to give that up to them, okay, as a result, okay? And how far did we get yesterday with this? How far did we get yesterday? To which clause? Okay, yeah, I think so too, maybe around 4 or 5. So number 4 here, number four. Germany, so the empires, right? Germany participated in imperialism. Great Britain participated the most. If we remember that chart from document F, they had like 12, million square miles of square kilometers of empires and 400 million people total in their territory. Okay, but Germany also participated in imperialism. So when Germany lost the war, they had to lose all of that territory that they had acquired throughout their participation in imperialism or taking over other territories. So they give that up to all their allies. For me, that's military, it's pride. But for me, most importantly, that's economies. Because a country will take over other countries for economic purposes or gain colonies throughout the world for the resources and the wealth. So as a result, and here's what I put, Clause 4 damaged Germany economically because a major reason for gaining colonies was for the resources and wealth. Okay, and then we'll do number 5, and then we'll go get onto some new ones here. And honestly, after 5 is only 2 more, so hang with me. So 5. So here's the next thing. Germany had to sign this treaty. Now again, they're forced to do this. They don't want to do this. They lost the war. They're backed into a corner. They have to do this. So number 5, the German armed forces were to be reduced greatly. They were only allowed 100,000 soldiers and 15,000 sailors. That's it. So at that point, right, Germany basically doesn't even have a military. It is so minimal. They could maybe barely protect themselves if they were attacked. They definitely couldn't attack or go on the offensive and go into France and Belgium and neighboring countries again, which is the purpose, and that's what France definitely wanted. They wanted Germany to have such a small military that they could never attack them again because it was so terrible in World War I. So this impacts their military. Germany's military was damaged by Clause 5 because now they don't have enough soldiers and sailors to protect themselves in a time of war. Okay, so that's kind of what I said there. Any questions about those? You can put them in the chat. Any questions about those? And again, you could put it in multiple if you want. For me, I like to think through which one is most impacted. That way it makes me really justify my answer. So I'd prefer you honestly only pick one, but come up with a really, really, really good argument. All right, let's look at 6 and 7. Let's look at 6 and 7. All right, number 6. Okay, the German Navy had to be reduced greatly. They were only allowed to keep 6 battleships and only allowed 15,000 men. So once again, right, I think which one? Put in the chat and tell me why. Don't just tell me which one. Explain why. What would be like your sentence? The German Navy had to be reduced greatly. Well, y'all got, let me see some options, y'all. Which one? Does that damage them economically, military, or their pride? But here's the deal. Y'all need to go ahead and finish that one, okay? Do that one on your own and explain why. I'm not going to put, I mean, I did 5 of them for you here, right? Yeah, for sure, for sure. So you go ahead and complete number 6 on your own. Good, thank you for the participation. Okay, good, good, real good, real good. Those are some good options. All right, now let's look at number 7. Look at number 7. Okay, the use and production of weaponry was limited. The Germans were not allowed, okay, an air force or any submarines. The Navy was only allowed 6 battleships, and the buying of any further war materials was banned. So they couldn't build up their armaments. If we look at that chart, I believe, what was that, document C from the World War I DBQ, we started to see how much money these countries were spending on their military, which was a massive amount. Germany was not allowed to do that anymore. They were banned from buying war materials. They were banned from building anything more than 6 battleships. All right, that was it. So go ahead and answer that one on your own, please. Decide where that goes. Okay. Okay, so you should have all of those done at this point, 1 through 7. You don't have to do number 8. You don't have to do number 8. Answer this question. All right, answer this question. I'm gonna type in, this is the last thing for today. Put yourself in the shoes of a German citizen. How do you feel about the Treaty of Versailles? Okay. All right. Answer that question on the bottom. Okay. And that will be it for today. And I'm going to put some people in a breakout room as well in just a minute. I'm going to stop the recording in just a minute. And I'm going to put some people in a breakout room just to have to meet with a few people from class. Okay, just check in.